going to click record. And then we'll make a start. Okay then, so just to begin, it's always a bit of a rush to get started, isn't it? But I think it's really important that we just slow things down and find that connection with breathing, find that connection with those deep tummy muscles. Okay, so if you want to, place one hand on your heart, one hand on your tummy, and just start to breathe nice and deeply. Who's that? Just chuck their mat down. Hi, Elle. Well done. Nice deep breaths right down to the base of your lungs. Feel your tummy rise. Ribcage expand. And then slowly exhale. And as you breathe, just think about bringing your focus into your center. And what you're doing here is really powerful because we are interacting with our nervous system and just trying to take ourselves out of fight or flight mode, which we spend so much of our day in. So now's the time just to allow everything to soften and allow your mind to rest as well. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of movement, hands by your side, breathe in, shoulders shrug up. Breathe out, shoulders just slowly sink down, tucking your shoulder blades into your back pockets. And again, breathe in, shoulders shrug up. Breathe out, shoulders slide down. Good. 2 more times. Breathe in, shoulders shrug up. Out and down. Lovely. Once more, breathing in. And then out, tuck those shoulders down, away from your ears, nice long necks. Breathe in again, this time breathe out, drawing in, lower tummy to spine. We're going to start to work now through the heels. So keep that tummy gently drawn in as we raise up to tiptoes and lower down. So peeling through your feet. Imagine you're stood on some sticky tar and your feet have got to peel off the floor. And then lower down. Good idea, Helen. Peeling up, pause at the top. Keep that tummy gently drawn in throughout the movement. Good. You've got a tray of drinks resting on your head. So even though we're coming up and down, we're trying to keep everything nice and level. So your nose, your breastbone, and your belly button all line up. Now have a little think about how your feet are moving. Imagine 2 little dots underneath your heels and you're trying to keep your heels in line with those dots as you lift and lower. So try not to let your heels turn in or out. Just keep that alignment over your dots. Lovely. We've got 2 more, simple lift and lower. Keep that tummy nice and active. Those calves should be nice and warm now. Try and go a little bit higher if you can. Really peel right up onto the ball of your feet, pressing into your toes. Okay, adding a dumb weight now. So elbows tucked in at the waist. Raise up onto tiptoes. Hold at the top. Open out into the hands, keep the heels lifted, hands come forwards, and then we lower down. So we're just adding a little bit of endurance as we work on the upper back. So heels lifted, tummy drawn to spine, open out, hands float forwards and lower. So with that dumb waiter, we've got the elbows gently pressed in at the waist. And as we separate the hands, we're thinking about the collarbones lengthening. We're thinking about the shoulder blades gently drawing together and down. So it's all about working this area of the mid-back with that dumb waiter. And try not to let your rib cage flare forwards either. So try not to let the upper back extend. We just want to keep everything nice and still. Okay, for those of you that want a little bit more, we come up into the heel raise. As we come into dumb waiter, keep the heels lifted but bend into the knees. And then stand up with the heels still lifted and lower down. I appreciate you can't really work that out with this strange shadow that I've got going on. So heels lifted, open out into dumb waiter, heels stay lifted, we bend into the knees, we push back up and we lower down. Hopefully next week with the clocks changing, it'll be nice and sunny outside and I won't need to put so many lights on in this room. Beautiful. Okay, if you don't want to add the squat, then just keep standing. It does load up the kneecaps. Fab, brilliant. Okay, we'll go for 6 more. Exhale as we lower, really loading up those legs. 4 more. Good option there. Well done. Good choices. Beautiful. 3 more. Hi, Ivana, Emma. Didn't say hello. I think you just joined just after we'd started. 2 more. Okay, we will hold this last one. So either raising up onto tiptoes and holding, or adding that little squat at the same time. Now, check those knees, make sure they haven't collapsed in together. Keep your kneecaps pointing forwards, keep your tummy drawn in as we hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Rest at any point if you need to. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. Lower the heels, push back up to stand. Keep the arms out to the side. This time we're going to take the weight into the left leg. You'll need a little bit of space behind you. So take your weight into your left leg. We're going to stretch the right leg out behind as we open out with the arms. Tap the toe down. Bring the right leg back in and repeat again. So extending with the hip. As we lengthen through the arms, tap the toe behind and draw back in again. The key with this is a nice long spine. So when you extend behind, squeeze your bottom and don't overarch your back. So keep the tummy drawn in. The tailbone is pointing down to the floor and not to the wall behind you. We've got 3 more. Elle, especially you, try not to let that bump drop you forwards. We don't want a Donald Duck back. We want a nice long spine. Fabulous. 2 more. Looks good, yeah. Okay, then we hold that leg out behind us. Keep the arms outstretched to the side and we lift and we lower and we lift and we lower. Super small movement, squeezing the hip. No movement of the pelvis yet. All of this stays nice and still. It's not arching the back to lift the leg. It's using these lovely strong glutes. We've got 2 more. And then we lift and hold. Option 1 to just lift and hold. Option 2 is bend the standing leg and straighten. 6 squats. 6 and 5 and 4. Well done. And 3. Keep squeezing that back leg. And 2 and 1. Well done. That standing leg should be nice and tired now. Let's see how we get on with the second side. Just taking a quick chance to shake those legs out. Okay, shifting onto your right leg now, setting back up with your dumb waiter as we tap the left leg out behind, tap the toes, lengthen the arms and back in. Fab. Now we're aiming, it's a tough one, but we're aiming to keep those hip bones level as well. So as your leg comes out behind, try not to let your pelvis hitch from side to side. If you're not sure what your pelvis is doing, just pause the arms and place your hands on that brim of your pelvis so you can make sure that it's level and also that it's not tipping forwards and backwards as well. We've got 4 more. Tummy drawn to spine. 3 more. Looking great, guys. These are tough. You wouldn't think it, would you? 2 more. Okay, and 1. Lengthen out behind. Hold the arms. Squeeze the bottom, lift and lower. Lift and lower, tummy to spine. Lift and lower. 6 more. 6. 5. Watch those shoulders. Nice long necks. 4. 3. Good balance. 2. Okay. Lift and hold. Option 1, just to stand and hold. Option 2, back into those knee dips on your standing leg for 6. For 5. Single leg squats, super hard. So if you're doing them, well done. If you're not, don't worry. We've got a whole year to work on these. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good stuff. Come back up. Shaking out through arms and legs. Very nice. So hopefully you're feeling a lot warmer now. We're going to come down onto the mats. We'll do a few roll downs to get there. And then we will work into some bridges to begin with. So we'll just stand up at the end of the mat, just nice and tall to start with. Again, that was quite a strenuous sequence, so let's just slow it down again, breathing deeply. And then slowly roll down through your spine. Now we should have got a little bit of blood flow through the legs after that work, so you should feel like you can start to reach into this forwards fold. But of course, not working too hard too soon. The last sequence was all about the extension of the spine, so you might find that coming into this forwards fold to begin with just takes a minute for your back to adjust. Slowly stacking back up to stand again. Keeping the knees soft. And then we go again. Peel down through the bones of your spine. Good stuff. Feet a little wider if you need to. Beautiful. We're going to do a couple more, so enjoy these. Try not to let your mind take you elsewhere. Just focus on the movement that you're doing. Focus on how your spine feels as it peels down through every level. Beautiful. Okay. Coming into your final one. Rolling down, rolling down, rolling down, hanging at the bottom. Really focus in on your exhale. See if you can reach any further, but try not to bounce. Just let that lengthening come through your breath. And then once you've done a couple of breaths in that forwards fold, just bring yourself down onto your mat. We're going to take it into our rest position. So lying on your back with your knees bent, feet and knees hip distance apart. I'll just give you a moment just to set up into that. So we've got bridge sequence to start with. We're going to focus in on using the pelvic floor as well. As always, just keep those bridges not too high, just so your pelvis kind of doesn't come above your shoulders if you're using your wedge. Everybody else, we're going to get these hips as high as we can, and we're going to kind of work on the calves still. So we start off rest position, we breathe in, and then as we exhale, we gently press the small of the back into the mat. Pelvic floor then comes on, so tightening through your back passage to your front passage. Notice how your tailbone scoops underneath. Continue with that scooping motion as we peel up through the spine. One bone coming off at a time. Nice chance to give that spine a little bit more of an opportunity to move at every segment. Hips are then lifted. We keep the pelvic floor engaged as we slowly lower down, placing one bone back down onto the mat at a time. And then softening at the bottom. And then simply repeat. So gently press down, scoop under, pelvic floor engaged, peel up through the spine, one bone at a time, counting through your vertebrae, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to the top. And then slowly back down again, keeping that pelvic floor drawn in. On your next one, think about your rib cage. So as your hips lift up, try not to let your rib cage flare up towards the ceiling. So the rib cage travels down to the waist, even as the waist lifts up. So we're always shortening the distance between the ribs and the pelvis. Okay, we've got 2 more. Looking good, everybody. Making sure those pelvic bones rest level as well as always. You could rest a tray of drinks on your waist if you're doing a nice bridge. These look fab. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to build the sequence from here. So at any point, just go back to your nice, steady, slow, controlled bridges. But we're going to add a little bit of arms and then we add our legs back in. So starting with the arms, we come up into our bridge and we hold. So really focus on scooping that tailbone underneath. Posterior pelvic tilt, yeah, shortening the tailbone towards the back of the knees, okay? Pelvic floor is switched on. And then we take the arms and we float one arm up and over to the top of the mat without letting the shoulders come up towards the ears. Try not to let the hand tap down. We're just going to float it above the floor, and then we're going to lower that arm down and we're going to replace it for the other arm, okay? We're going to do 3 of each. and then rest down in between. Unless you need to rest down before, of course, please take those rests as often as you need to. You should feel the backs of the legs working as we hold the bridge. Now, as the hands come up and over, you might even want to use that contraction with your deep tummy. So draw your tummy towards your spine. Maybe coming up to your last repetitions with the arms. We should be working nice and slowly to really build up the endurance of these glutes, of these hamstrings. Okay, and then coming down once you've finished. So that's your first option. Bridge with the arms alternating overhead. Okay, we're going to add in another layer now. So we're going to think about opposite foot, opposite hand, so we get the kind of both sides of the brain working. So as your right hand comes over to the top in your bridge, you're going to peel your left heel off the floor. So we come into that nice heel raise, toe stays down though. Focus on the pelvis, make sure the pelvis doesn't dip to the side. So we come up into bridge, right hand, left heel, come back down, and then left hand, right heel. We repeat 3 rounds on both arms, both feet. We breathe, we keep the pelvic floor engaged throughout. And then once you've done your 3rd round, slowly lower down, reset, give your knees a hug if you need to, and then we go again. Good to just open out the back in between. Now, if you're finding that the arms and the legs together are too tricky, choose one, do the arms, do the legs. You don't need to combine if you don't wish. Well done, everybody. These look fab, really, really good. Well done, good coordination, guys. Okay, and for those of you that want that little bit more, for your final round, we're going to take it into a tabletop leg. So the whole of the foot comes off the mat. This is a very big step up. So if you give it a try by all means, but if it feels too tricky, if you lose the control at your pelvis, if your back hurts, just come back down to the heel lift. Otherwise, we take the whole foot off the mat, the knee stacks over the hip, really push through your foot that's on the floor to level the pelvis out. And then we swap sides. Like I say, this is more of an advanced movement, so only working into this if you feel happy to. Same again, we've got 3 on the right and 3 on the left. Opposite arm, opposite leg. Keep the tummy engaged, keep the pelvic floor drawn in throughout. Beautiful. Okay, so wherever you are, take a rest. We're going to slowly come down and we're all just going to pause, bring the knees in towards us just to open out the back. Give you a moment just to finish off any repetitions if you need to. Okay, we have got a little bit more with the bridge sequence. This time we're going to do a double heel lift and a double arm reach. The options really are when you take your rest. So option 1 would be resting in between every repetition. Option 2 would be repeating until fatigue. So we're all going to lift up into bridge, scoop the tailbone underneath, engage the pelvic floor. Lifting the hips, squeeze your bottom to keep them lifted. Raise the toes up off, the heels up off the floor, and the hands come over to the top. Floating the hands off the mat, don't let them drop down, keep the tension throughout, and then we lower the heels, lower the arms. So option 1, you drop the hips down at this point and then repeat the bridge. Heel lift, hand lift. Option 2, simply just keeping those hips lifted as the heels and the hands repeat up and over. Helen, I'm really sorry. This is a tricky one for you. Lots and lots of heel raises, but probably good, hey? But just do what you can, focusing in on trying to keep that weight equal to both feet. Okay, we're going to go for 6 more with the rests in between if you need to. 5 more. Looking strong, everybody. Breathing through. Fab. Looking great. 4. 3. 2. And 1. Super. Coming down. And then once more, just giving your knees a hug. Well done, everybody. Okay, a little bit of a break now, a little bit of a change in position. Have a little look how we set up for this, because it's not a position we often work, because we are going to be working the inner thigh. So you're going to come onto your side, and your option really is to either lie flat or lie with your hand on your head, whatever feels like it works best for you. So the back leg is bent with the foot on the floor. And the front leg is straight, and it's kind of on a slight diagonal line, just so it's out of the way of your back leg, really. So this morning somebody asked me about the position of your hip. If you've got nice open hips, you can aim to have your knee pointing up, but for some of us that might feel quite tight, especially through the groin. So don't worry if your knee tends to kind of rock in slightly. We want to aim to kind of have this level pelvis and things nice and steady here. So we want to straighten this leg, squeeze your thigh, and have your toes so that they're pointing up towards your shin. So you've got that flexion of the foot, the dorsiflexion of the foot, so the back of the leg gets a nice stretch. And then from here, we draw in through the tummy, exhale, and we lift the leg. It doesn't need to come too high, okay? So we lift and we lower. Feeling the effects now on the inner thigh and on the quads as we keep those muscles nice and engaged. Super simple, just lift and lower, but we're going to take it through a little bit of a sequence. First, to work on the activation of the muscles. Second, to work on the endurance of the muscles. And then finally, to build upon the endurance and work on the kind of fast twitch and small control of the movement. Okay, we've got 6 more. Lift and lower. 5, lift and lower. Keep that tension in your toes pulled up towards your shins. 4 more. You're doing great. 3 more. Keep the tummy gently active. 2 more. 1 more. Okay, we take this next one and we lift and we hold. Now your leg only needs to come 1/2 inch off the floor. If you've got more range, you can bring it up higher, but try not to roll too far backwards on that bottom hip. We keep holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then we finish with a pulse. So little pulsing movements for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good stuff. Rest down. So if you didn't feel it at the start, hopefully you felt it by the time we got to those pulses. Okay, inner thigh done on one side. We're just going to swap over to the second side, and I'll come and see how you're getting on with this now we've gone through one side and done a demo. Okay, so flipping over to the opposite end of your mat. Top leg bent and foot placed behind. You can place the top foot in front if you wish. You might find that a little bit more manageable. It really just depends on how your hips feel today, or how your hips feel in general. Okay, but I'll show you the same as we did first round. So toes pointing forwards, and we lift and we lower. Okay, try and keep that thigh engaged throughout, so you've got a nice long and strong leg. Yeah, Elle, if that feels better, you go for that. Good. Really important to be strengthening that kind of pubis where your pelvis is currently being a little bit torsioned. So really good one for you, but obviously just do what works. Beautiful. Okay, 6 more. Lift and lower. Well done. It feels like a little bit quite an alien movement, doesn't it? Kind of heavy legs to lift. 4 more. Everyone's did a great job. 3 more. 2 more. Okay, lift and hold. I feel like this is kind of like the Jane Fonda sort of stance. 80s aerobics. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we just finish with that lovely pulse. Get that inner thigh working for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good stuff. Come down. Oh, give those legs a little bit of a shake out. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of side plank work, really short, but just to expose you to this nice challenge, and then we'll have a quick stretch to finish. So from where you are, you're going to prop yourself up on your forearm with your elbow directly beneath your shoulder. So that's quite key to kind of make sure that you've got the right amount of leverage. It's really important to have a strong base around this shoulder. So try and press your shoulder down and grow out of your shoulder. So you've got all of these stabilizing muscles around your shoulder blade nice and active. You've got your knees bent, okay? Your tummy is active. And then from here, we're going to press into the forearm and see if we can lift the hips off the floor and then lower them back down again, okay? So just a simple preparatory movement, just lift and lower, and it doesn't matter how high your hips come, just enough to get a little bit of clearance underneath the ground and to feel that weight going through the shoulder. Obviously be mindful of the collarbone, but this is going to be a really good one to help with strength. So even if you're just pressing into the floor and just hitching slightly, even just sending the messages down to lift your hips, a little bit of an intention to just jump them off the floor and back down again. But obviously if you can, we come up and we come down. And then for those of you that want that little bit more, we take that lift all the way up and we hold it, okay? So tummy is nice and active. We're pressing through the arm, lowering the shoulder away from the ear, creating as much space between you and the floor. And we keep holding. And this is all we do. We hold, nothing else, because this is hard enough. Watch the line of the head is in line with the body, so try not to let that head hang down. Beautiful, nice and strong for 5, 4, take the rest as you need to, 3, wonderful, 2, and 1. Yeah, it is a big one for the shoulder. Okay, well done. Bring yourself to kneel, just roll through the shoulders if you need to before we take it over to the second side. So same again, hitches is fine if you're just kind of bringing your hips up and down off the mat just enough to slip a piece of paper underneath. That is the foundation that you need to create to then build up to the side plank strength. Okay, we're loading one shoulder really hard, so it is a real challenging move, but I think you're ready for it. So elbow beneath shoulder, second side, engaging through tummy, we lift and we lower. Really press away from the floor, so you're creating that counter force to lift your body up. Try not to think about just lifting the hips. Think about pressing away from the floor to create that space between you and your mat. Lovely. Okay, make sure your head is in line with your body, not hanging down, not drooping forwards. And then for those of you that want more, we lift and hold. Keep the tummy drawn in. Looking strong, everybody. Last push for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We made it. Good stuff. Okay. For those of you that are coming on Thursday, you've got those to look forward to again with an added challenge perhaps. Okay, we're going to finish off in our box, have a little flow through the spine just to finish off with a nice stretch, as I know I always throw loads of challenges off at you on a Tuesday. So let's do something nice. So we're going to come through a little cat-cow and shell stretch flow. So have a little look at how we move and then join in when you're ready. So setting up with a box, we took under, tailbone, tummy to spine, chin to chest. We push back, take the hips to the seat bones, hips to the heels. And then we push back to our box stretch, okay? And now we're going to go through to a cow. So arch the back, lift the tailbone, look forwards or upwards. And then we come back to our cow stretch, tuck underneath. Stay tucked under and then push back to your heels. Back to box, stay in that cat stretch, then we come back into cow stretch, arch the back, lift the gaze, tuck under. Okay, if you want to get a bit of a stretch to your toes, tuck them underneath as you push back into your shelf stretch. Feels quite good just to get that back and those toes extended. Get a little bit of movement. It will help with your heel raises, help give you that toe off, which is the most important part of creating power through the foot when we walk and we run. Stiff toe joints happen quite easily, but they really make us flat-footed, make us inefficient with our gait. So just working into the mobility of the toe can help. Okay, we'll do one more flow. And then we just sit back into the heels, just allow the feet to relax as we usually do. So your front of your feet are on the floor, sit the hips back to the heels, rest the head down, and we're just going to gently flow the hips from left to right. So you're tapping your right hip to your right heel, your left hip to your left heel. Just a nice real flow, organic movement. Just move with what feels right. And then come back to sit in the center of your heels. And if you can, let your head rest down on your mat, or maybe just creating a resting place in your hands if you can't quite get your head down to your mat. So you can just close your eyes for a moment and really relax into that stretch for the lower back. Focus back on your breathing. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful work. Okay, feel free to hang out there because it feels quite nice, doesn't it? Stay there for the rest of the night. Don't worry about the jobs. Don't worry about the cooking. Just hang out in a shelf stretch. Okay, when you're ready, do come back.